What does it take to sell an Indian story to someone who has never heard of it? Well, Christopher Nolan may have just given us an interesting answer. He took Greek mythology and turned it into one of Hollywood's biggest cinematic events. Now, India is attempting something remarkably similar with Namit Malhotra's Ramayana, a reported 4,000 crore rupees film backed by global distribution, major stars, and ambitions to reach audiences far beyond the Indian diaspora. Now, Nolan had a huge advantage. He had spent more than 2 decades building a brand where his name itself became a theatrical proposition. When audiences saw Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, they weren't simply being sold Homer's ancient poem. They were being sold Nolan's version of it, and the marketing reinforced that promise. The film was shot entirely on IMAX film cameras. It used real locations and ships and extensive practical filmmaking. It was designed to feel like something audiences needed to experience on the biggest screen possible. And that creates a very interesting business lesson for Ramayana. The global audience doesn't have to know the mythology first. It has to want the experience. Now, the film Ramayana stars Ranbir Kapoor, Sai Pallavi and Yash and is being directed by Nitesh Tiwari. Sony Pictures is handling its worldwide distribution. That gives the film access to a global distribution network from the beginning. The makers are targeting audiences across North America, Europe, Australia, West Asia and Southeast Asia. Producer Namit Malhotra believes the film could eventually reach more than 50,000 screens globally, apart from around 9,000 screens in India. But the real ambition is not simply to take an Indian film overseas. It is to get people who may have never heard the story of Ramayana to watch it. And that is a much bigger challenge. Indian films have already found audiences outside the country. Films such as Dangal, Bahubali, RRR, Pathan and Kalki have shown that Indian cinema can travel. But Ramayana is trying to take that a step further. The non-diaspora international audience is being treated as a core market, not simply an additional audience made up for Indians living abroad. And that creates one big challenge. How do you explain the Ramayana to someone who knows nothing about it? Because for an Indian viewer, the characters, relationships and mythology may already be familiar. But for an international viewer, the story needs context. The makers say that is precisely what they have been working on. Malhotra says the team spent around 18 months to 2 years traveling, meeting studios and explaining the project before Sony came on board. The film is also being developed in multiple Indian languages along with an English version. The idea is to make the experience accessible to international audiences without losing its Indian identity. The marketing strategy could also be massive. Malhotra has indicated that the promotional spending could be in the range required to market a major Hollywood event film, although the exact figures have not been disclosed. And the industry clearly sees the opportunity. PVR Inox Managing Director Ajay Bijli has called the Ramayana a story with universal appeal. Others see something even bigger. The argument is that Indian mythology could become the country's equivalent of the big intellectual properties that Hollywood has built around superheroes and fantasy. So it'll be really interesting to see whether an Indian story can become a global IP. If it works, the impact could go well beyond just one blockbuster. It could show Indian studios that stories rooted in Indian mythology could be packaged, distributed and marketed for audiences across the world. But if the film struggles to connect with the viewers who don't already know the story, it will also show how difficult it is to turn cultural familiarity into global mass appeal. And that makes Ramayana more than just a big budget movie. It is a test of whether Indian cinema is ready to sell Indian stories to the world.